Hudson, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you're very busy with off season and different kind of things. Speaking of off season, how are you and how is kind of this period between you changing championships going?
Yeah, we're going really good. Different to being flying all over the country and going to all different races. So grinding in the background, going out to Spain, training on different bikes. It's living life really in the winter. So yeah, it's good.
I've spoken to a few of the riders about the importance of going out to Spain to kind of get that finer tuning details on your bike and kind of being at one with your machine. Is that something you find important too?
I think it's a massive part really. You can't sit off your bike for 6 months in the winter. You still need to be on a bike and still be just on two wheels really. And still have that feeling because you don't want to get to the first round and be like, oh, this is if you've been out to Spain all winter, it's just another day on the bike. So I think it's really important to keep your standards high and maybe even gain some more skill in the winter. So yeah, it's important.
Well, you're doing all these different things, like going out to Spain and then back home, you're doing fitness training, all of those kinds of things. But it's not just in the motorsport space that you're busy because you have a really busy personal life as well. What do you get up to outside of racing?
I do the RFA cadets, and I'm a corporal with that. So keeping busy with that. That's 6 hours a week, and then we go on camps on the weekends. But and obviously school and stuff like that. But it's good to keep yourself dipped into different things. Keeps you busy. Definitely not bored on the weekends. Always got something to do. But yeah, I think it's good to get yourself in there and try new things and whilst you're young. So
You said about air cadets, and this might be a rogue one. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you before, but is there anything that you've learned at cadets that you transfer into your racing in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just like being disciplined?
yeah, discipline's a massive one. Obviously, I take in new cadets on the way in. I have to discipline them. I think it's definitely a big part to do with training as well. Just being consistent and being disciplined and knowing your boundaries with the people that you're working with, and it also helps as a social aspect as well. Just speaking to people really, and having the confidence to speak to new people. So like when we go on a camp or something, you'd see a high ranking officer and most people are going oh, when they see a high ranking officer, but you kind of get used to it, and it's a good thing as well. I mean, the social aspect, it's so good, it's so much fun. You make lots of new friends. If anyone's thinking about doing it, please join.
Good little plug to the cadets there. Um,
Yeah.
you said about being able to talk to people then, because I can appreciate that speaking to someone a lot higher up must be really daunting, especially if you're not so confident. Um, you are like probably I'd say one of the best people currently coming through bike racing that is on it with media and kind of I was just speaking to your dad before we started and saying about speaking on the MotoGP stage to thousands of people, having that confidence at such a young age. Um, Having that then partnered with your social media, you doing your vlogs and everything like that, what are the benefits that has brought to you? Is it easy to get sponsors that way? Do you think it's important to have a big presence online?
I think it's even more important when you're at a young age. Even with interviews like this, if you've done vlogging and podcasts in the past, you've already media trained yourself, and it just makes you more confident on camera. It's probably the worst thing ever if you're in an interview, and you probably struggle with it sometimes when you're trying to suck the life out of somebody, trying to get questions out of him. But yeah, I think it's a massive part really, to do with sponsors, and it don't get cheaper as you go up. So, but yeah, I think it's one of the biggest parts. Plays a massive role in my racing at the moment. So
Really funny because a lot of chats I have with people coming up through the sport is about sponsors and their importance, and I didn't appreciate it until I sat down and actually asked one of the riders like very directly like what is it about sponsors? Like I know nothing about it. Like I feel very fortunate hearing the stories that I've never had to deal with trying to get sponsors or anything like that because it's hard to go to a company and say, "This is me. I'm really fast. Can you give me some tires or something like that?" It's really difficult. But you are the ACU Bemsee Team Green Junior Cup champion for this year. This year? We're still in this year. To me, we
yeah,
are. Um, so that is with Bemsee, and then for 2026, it was announced a few months ago that you're stuck up to Moto 4, which is Talent Cup, a British Talent
yeah.
Cup. It's been renamed, but still the same group. Have you found it easier? I don't know if you've approached sponsors, but have you found it easier having that kind of, yeah, I've stepped up to this level. It's a direct link, well, to make it a direct link to having it labeled as Moto 4, being a direct link to MotoGP and getting that road in. Have you found it easier to approach sponsors in that way, or is it still quite difficult to get?
I think it's a good tagline to say that you're going to be on TNT Sports next year. That gets all sponsors' brains buzzing, because you think about all the potentials with that. But yeah, like you said, like the Moto 4 name, you established with a MotoGP name because in the Moto. But yeah, I think it's a big step up in media coverage, big step up in fans. She's going to be racing at BSB, and then obviously the MotoGP round at Silverstone. I think it is a big step up. We've seen a bigger influx of sponsors come through from announcing to go into Talent Cup, and it allows you to create a bit of a better, if you want to call it a CV, when you're approaching sponsors and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it definitely helps. We've definitely seen a change in stuff. So
One question I have never asked anyone, but I'm going to ask you now because I feel like you'll give me a good answer, is obviously I'm not a business and like I can't stick my name on a bike, if that makes sense. I know a lot of riders have like a club 34 or club
Mhm.
79, things like that to try and get a bit more money on board. I'm not sure about the audience watching this, but they might not be business owners, but might want to be able to help someone like yourself, a young talent coming through bike racing. For you, or is there any way you know of that people that don't own a business that can't sponsor you in the same way can still help fund your rides?
I've got a lot of personal sponsors, and we do it through Patreon, most of the stuff. So I think it's called Club 27. I think mine is because my numbers had to change to 27 instead of 217. Might still be called 217. I don't know. But that's a good way because you're basically putting your bank details and it takes out every month. It's not a lot of effort. £1 is £12, and it all adds up really. If you get 15, 20 people adding up, it adds up to a set of tyres. And obviously, the more the better, really. The more help you can get. It's a tough step up from mini bikes or Bemsee to BTC because tyre bills and the team prices. Obviously, it's big stuff. But yeah, the more people you can get in, I mean, you might think £1 a month isn't a lot, but it does add up over a good few people. So that's one of the biggest ways.
I guess if you have a bigger pool of people doing it, yeah, like you say, £1 is
Yeah,
£12, but for as many people, it's a lot to you, and especially coming up, going into your first year, it'll be really crucial. But no, that's interesting because obviously, I can't. I want to help people as much as the next person wants to help people, but I can't put my name on a bike. That would look stupid. So, I think that's a really important point to say. We did touch upon then that you are a champion in your own right. You got your ACU award at MCL. Um, can you summarize your season a little bit for us? How did you get on last year? And if you look back at the season, what achievements can you take from it apart from obviously getting that title?
I think the Bemsey Championship, the Team Green Championship, I think it's a massive stepping stone from mini bikes to BTC because a lot of people before have just gone from little 12-inch mini bikes to 17-inch BTC bikes around Silverstone. It's I think it's a big jump if you don't include the Team Green. So from what I take from this year is the tracks really, because I've been on Donington, been on all the BSB tracks, and it's such a crucial part as well because you don't get a lot of track time at BSB. There's not a lot of sessions, especially for British Talent Cup. But definitely battle wise, I've had a good few rivals this year. I think it's been good race experience on a bigger bike. So I'm going to get on that little NSF 250 next year, and it's going to feel tiny to me. But yeah, I think it's a big positive on what we did this year. I think that's what we came for to get the track experience and the track knowledge. But yeah, I'm pleased with what we've done, obviously. So
No, you should be so pleased. It's really interesting you say about it kind of this Bemsey Championship being like a stepping stone, like a bridge that was needed to be there. Obviously, Bemsey and things like NG up club level, you'd probably classify them
mm.
for stepping up to something like BSB. Do you think it's important for people to make that small, like I guess people might want to rush into Talent Cup as soon as they can because it's a great opportunity. And obviously, if it comes, I guess you should take it. But do you think doing something like Bemsee, you would recommend to people looking to kind of bridge that gap between doing something like Fab and Mini, Moto Mini and stuff,
Yeah,
then going to BSB?
I think it's still massively beneficial to do the Moto Mini or whatever it's called now, and B and Fab, because you get that race knowledge and that race experience. But it's such a different ball game being at a big track like a BSB track, and even at Bemsey, there's crowds there, and it's a lot more pressure because it's high stakes. There's more cost when you crash. It's quite a lot to take in on your first round. So my first round with Brands Hatch, and it's quite a lot of stuff to take in. So instead of going into round one of BSB and you having to take everything in, the actual BSB paddock and new tracks, you tick the tracks off the list. And it just takes another thing off your mind on that first round, all the way through the season because you get a new track every round. So I think it's massively beneficial just as a mental status as well for the BSB paddock. So
Well, talking of the BSB paddock, we've said already that you're going up to Moto 4. You look, I could just feel how excited you are because it is a big thing, especially for someone as young as you. What was it like when you got that? I don't know how it works. Do you get a call? Do you meet them in person? Who knows? But that I'm gonna say call from NW Racing to say that they want to sign you for this coming season.
I obviously raced with NW last year, so we had strong connections with Nick and the team and that. So we know all the mechanics and Nick obviously, and we know him quite personally. And I think it's a good stepping stone on what Nick's doing as well with the NW to try and get a good base platform instead of jumping into Bemsee and being by yourself. You can go and approach Nick, and Nick is very open and honest, and he'll be happy to take you on. But I think it's good, a good team for next year. We've got the right people, the right bikes, the right mechanics, the right people behind us. And definitely we're excited getting the news that we're going to be 100% doing it next year. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So will you have the same personnel around you that you had this year in Bemsey?
So this year in Bemsey, I had Lucas King and some other Bemsey riders, whereas for next year, I'll have Zach Weston in my own, and Luca Wilkinson, and Craig Dance. I think he's doing BSB as well. So it'll be a smaller amount of riders in the awning, but it will still be Nick and the same mechanics. So we've still got that familiarity with the mechanics and everyone. So it's a really good team environment. We have a good laugh after the races. But yeah, it should be a good year next year.
That's the most important thing, right? To have those people around you, because at the end of the day, it's very scary to me watching you all, but right, like racing is fun. So it's good that you have that team environment and
Yeah,
probably
definitely.
make that adjustment a bit easier having the same mechanics and having Nick there. Um, will probably be nothing but a benefit to all of you guys. So
Well,
that's
like I said
amazing.
earlier, it's another thing that you check off your list that you're not having to learn another team or some new faces. You already know them really well, so I think it's a positive for next year.
With the age you are, there's only a limited number of series that you can race in the UK at this age. So obviously, if NW came and approached you and said we wanted to do Talent Cup, you are obviously going to do it. But how did you find making that decision on where to race this year with your age being a factor in like the limited options you had?
I could race in Talent Cup halfway through last year, and we were thinking about doing wildcards and stuff like that. But going back to deciding what we're going to do for this year, I think that you've got to come and have a try, really. Um, my different options were obviously junior sport bike. So I could have gone and racing junior sport bike on the Z4Rs. So the decision was made. Got to come and have a crack at this, and see where it takes us. Really, it's kind of a fork in the road. You either go and have an attempt at the GP route, or you stop on the superbike route. So I think if you come and have a crack at it, it's another thing to do, and it occupies it up for a little bit. I mean, junior sport bike, I don't know, I forgot how many years you can stop in that, but I think that's quite a while. So yeah, I've got plenty of time, so no rush.
Exactly. I think there is that inkling if you get a sniff at anything kind of remotely like getting to that premier level that every racer wants to get to eventually, that you automatically want to take it. But it's important to just ease your way in. And you
Yeah.
getting into this Moto 4 rather than going the junior sport bike route, like you said, is that little nudge in the MotoGP direction rather than the superbike route. So it's amazing. What advice would you give then if you looked back at your time racing so far? Obviously, it's not been as long as other riders, but if you could give yourself one piece of advice that you could have had when you started out racing, what would you say to young riders now hoping to go the same route that you have?
I'd definitely say don't rush it. That is the main thing. That is the main factor that everyone does that I've seen. Next class, bigger bike, bigger bike. It's not really about that. You need to learn your racecraft, learn your skills. I mean, out in Spain, I'm training on little 150 little Moto Leaguers. We you can train on all sorts of bikes. It's just you've got to take your time, and the training is what counts, not the racing. I mean, the racing's good for the racecraft and stuff like that. We can get 5 times more than that just in training out in Spain. So I think an advice is focus on training, put a little bit more budget into training, and hold back on maybe even saving a set of tyres a weekend. Because at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if you come in second instead of first in the like a BMB or a Fab race. It's not the end of the world really. So for me, would probably put some more budget into training if I was younger. But yeah, just take your time and focus on the training. That's what I'd say.
Oh, amazing. No one said that yet to me. They've said if you get the chance, go to Spain and kind of that general,
Yeah,
like going out to Spain or Italy to get that experience. But no one's ever said to not rush it. So I think that'd be really beneficial to people up and coming. The last thing I want to talk to you about then is your hopes for next year because this is the big talking point we've literally referred to a lot throughout this interview with you going to British Talent Cup. So have you set any goals for yourself at the moment, or will that be a thing you think about in the new year? And have you got any kind of targets for yourself and the team for your first year in Moto 4?
I'd be happy with a top 10, top 5. I think it's first year's a bit of a learning year as well because you've got a completely new bike, new setup, new Pirellis for next year. So just take it in the stride really. No expectations, just go with it. Kind of saying what we said for the Bemsee. So let's crack on.
Amazing. Wow, Hudson, it's been lovely to speak to you. Um, Obviously, I think everything you're doing online is great. So thanks for sharing so much of your experience racing with us fans at the end of the day. It's great to see, but good luck for next year. Have a lovely Christmas. And yeah, best of luck with everything.
Thank you very much.